Hi, I'm Caitlin Carter. I am creating this video for the required skill module, Unplanned Pregnancy Counseling. So I would, if a client came in and they were wanting some counseling on this unplanned or unwanted pregnancy, I would just, kind of welcome them in and start by kind of addressing emotions and how it's very normal to feel a wide range of emotions, and that anything they're feeling is okay. I would ask if they have anyone in their life that they feel comfortable talking to about this, a sibling or a friend or someone who may have had a similar experience, or someone who is just really supportive of them. And ensuring the client that they know that I'm here to listen. So the client is wondering, what are my options? Basically, there are kind of three main options. The first option, well, in no particular order, but is termination. And another option is to have the baby and choose to parent the baby, or you could have a baby and adoption is always an option as well. Finding the baby a home in someone else's house. So I'm going to start off by, assuming the client wants to talk about termination, that's what they're there to talk about. We need to start before I can answer any questions that they may have regarding, timing, what their options are, both legally and logistically, things like that. We need to know the gestational age of the fetus or embryo, depending on how far along they are. So I'm going to have a conversation with the client about when their last menstrual period was. Was that a normal cycle for them? Do they have regular cycles? Kind of all of those questions that we typically ask about determining a due date. This is also potentially something that could be happening over the phone. If somebody's just calling me, not sure what's going on. If it seems like they have a good gestational age, great. If they don't, I'm happy to refer them for an ultrasound, to just go get an early dating ultrasound, because weeks gestation do matter in determining where to go from here. So I would talk about our options here in the state of Washington. Abortions are legal in the state of Washington, and we have several clinics that are pretty close to us here that are very respectful of clients' wishes and rights. But again, the timing does matter, so we would be definitely figuring that out, that they can have a medical abortion, as in the pill, up to 70 days from their last menstrual period, which is right at 10 weeks. And there is the aspiration, or like the suction or vacuum, where they just kind of gently suck the pregnancy out. That can happen between 14 and 16 weeks, or it can be surgically removed after 16 weeks. As I'm talking to the client, I would just tell them that the process is less complicated and is just easier in general the earlier on it is. So this decision is rather time sensitive, but also not to rush. Like this isn't a decision that most people are making really lightly. So definitely take some time, take a few days, kind of whatever they need to be solid in their decision. Or longer, depending on, when they are able to get in for an ultrasound, things like that. So the client may ask kind of what to expect with a termination. And the exact answer would depend on the type of termination they have. For this example, I can answer the questions specifically about a medical termination or a termination using the pill or pills. It's actually 2 different medications that are given. If you went into the clinic, they would give you very specific directions as to when to take them and how to take them, and in what order and things. You could expect some heavy bleeding, like a heavy period, for usually about 1 to 2 days. Then that product of conception passes, and then you would have roughly normal period bleeding for 1 to 2 weeks. Again, this is very, very individualized per person. You could expect to have a normal period back in like roughly 8 weeks. Again, very dependent on the person. Some people expect or some people experience a much lighter first period than what is normal for them. And then kind of that second period afterwards can be normal. I encourage you to avoid intercourse for 1 or 2 weeks after the termination, basically just until your bleeding stops. If you're bleeding really heavily, your cervix is open a little bit, and that can introduce infection. There's limited research on that. That's just kind of my personal feeling as for what's safest for your body. I guess I also kind of failed to mention, as a midwife, I am happy to talk through any of these things with you, but it is out of my scope of practice. So if you were wanting a termination, I would be referring you elsewhere. There's Cedar River, which is over in Puyallup, and there's a Planned Parenthood right here in Bremerton. Both, like I said, are really, really great in helping clients walk through the process and the insurance information and the cost of things and all of that. They're who I recommend. So I would review with a client. Termination is an option. I think we have talked through all of those things. If they want different parenting resources, that is an option as well. We have lots of good resources in our area, and especially some counseling services. There can be a lot of things to talk about and kind of process as you go through that. Also, adoption services are always an option, and that means that you would carry the pregnancy through to term. You have the baby, and you choose what kind of home you would like the baby to go to, and that may be it could be anything from a family member, maybe a sibling or a parent or an aunt or a cousin, somebody who may be wanting a baby in their life, or you can choose to go through an adoption agency and just pick parents you don't know, or you could have a closed adoption to where you have no contact with the baby. There's lots of different adoption possibilities as well. But so first things first, I would encourage the client to if they're wanting an ultrasound, to go ahead and do that, so we can figure out how far along they are, so they can have that better information to make that decision with. And as the client is leaving, I would ask if it would be okay if I followed up with them, or if they would feel comfortable letting me know what they decide. They're welcome to come back in for support if they have questions about, is there too much bleeding, things like that, that I am open to answer those questions for them. If they have any further like blood work or anything like that they want done, maybe they bled a lot and are wondering if they're anemic, I can run those labs. And depending on, kind of what their decision is and where they're at in life, if they want to chat about birth control, I'm happy to chat about those options as well. And yeah, just making myself available to answer any further questions, and making sure they have all of the referrals and resources that they need to make these decisions, and hope that they have the best support possible. Yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you.